So, guiding principles. Here's some things I want you to remember as you're going through this process. As you're going through the process, you're asking yourself the hard questions about what you desire. You've actually written something down about things that you would like to accomplish. Here's the guiding principles for you. Forgive me. One of the first guiding principles is Occam's razor. Anybody ever heard of this? Occam's razor? William Occam was a friar in the 1300s in England. And he was a theologian and a philosopher and had a number of writings, very unique for his day and age, probably one of the little bit of lights within medieval times. And he had this concept for solving problems that is ultimately been called Occam's razor. And here's how it goes, just like this. The simplest and most direct solution requiring the fewest steps is usually the best solution. Okay? The simplest and most direct solution requiring the fewest steps is generally the best solution. He's saying the fastest way there is the best way there, okay, to accomplishing what you want to accomplish or to solving a problem. Let me give you an example of something that might go along with somebody's goals or desires. If somebody would like to be a U.S. Senator, there are a number of ways you could go about being a U.S. Senator. You could first join the school board, and then from the school board you go to the city council, and from the city council you go to something and work on the county, and from the county you run for a position on the Texas State Senate or the Texas Representatives. And through that process you believe that if I take these steps I will meet more people who can help me accomplish the goal that I want to accomplish. I will be able to raise more resources by spending the time in those areas, by going to all those meetings and meeting people that I need to meet. Or if you analyze your situation, you might be somebody that says, you know what, I've got a number of friends now that really believe in my attitude about things and what I want to see accomplished, and they know some people who know some people, so I'm going to go work on those relationships and spend 5 years working on those relationships and telling my story instead of going through this long process, which is going to take 15 to 20 years, and see if I can get people to buy in and to really walk alongside of me and help me, and I'm going to just go straight for the U.S. Senate out of this job that I'm in right now. So that would be the simplest point if you have the resources, ability, or have thought that thing through. But you've got to think it through about what's available, what's not available, and figure out the path. And if you find a shorter path, take the shorter path to what you're trying to accomplish. Don't take the long way. I mean, when we go to Dallas, we don't go there via Waco. Right? So the same thing with things that we're trying to accomplish in our lives. Don't take the long and arduous way if you can find a simpler path and find a cut through. So Occam's razor, principle number one. Principle number two to remember is the reality principle. And this really comes from Jack Welch, who was CEO of GE for a number of years. And so his concept is just this. Seeing the world as it really is, not how you wish it is. Okay? Let me tell you something about the world. The world doesn't care about you. It's not trying to make everything go well for you. And it's a funny thing about life, and Blaise Pascal really points this out in his book from the 1600s, The Pensées. My life is a play, and you're a character in it. Your life is a play, and I'm a character in your play. And that's just a reality with people and dealing with people that is going on. Okay, so most people are self-centered. Most people are looking in the self. They're not looking at how they help you in your process. One of the great things about humanity is when humanity steps out of that and realizes there are other people around that matter and stop thinking about the self and start thinking about the others. But as you're going through the process of things that you value most important, you can just pretty much bet there's going to be a lot of realities you're going to have to deal with because nobody's going to make your path simple. Nobody's going to try and work it out for you. You may bump into some people along the way that may be the greatest gifts that you can imagine to help you accomplish the things you want to accomplish. But that's not going to be what you bump into with most of mankind. Most people are not focused in on those same things, and they're just busy focusing on their world, not your world. So we have to ask ourselves the realities of what we're dealing with. This is true in business every day. And that's why he went into meetings and started the meetings with, what's the reality? No need pretending. I mean, if we pretend, the company's going to go south real fast. If you walk into a GE meeting with multiple companies up under that umbrella, and you got the one that goes, this one's headed for bankruptcy. Well, this one's not, so it kind of balances things out. That's not what they would do. I mean, this one's headed for bankruptcy. What do we do? What do we need to change? What do we need to focus on? This is our reality that we have to work on. And so walking into any meetings around here, whether it be claims underwriting, customer service, or this, that, and the other, we've got to look at what our realities are. Sales are down. Sales are up. Loss ratio is up. Loss ratio is down. What are those things? Let's deal with those realities because dealing with the realities helps us accomplish the goal. Ignoring them, it doesn't help us accomplish it at all. So we've got to deal with realities that are around us. Also, one last principle, the solution principle, and I kind of touched on this just a little bit earlier. Look for solutions. Don't focus on the problems. The good news is that we all today have a job because there are problems. That's why we have jobs. Because if the problems in the areas that we worked in did not exist, we would not be needed. If a claims file was 1, 2, 3 and push the button, we wouldn't need anyone. But it doesn't work that way. It is difficult. There are all kinds of things that can change, all kinds of things working against the file, all kinds of different dynamics that exist within each particular loss. And without a person sitting there to solve the problem doesn't go away, and there's no magic wand to wave on it. So the good news is we have gigs because there are problems. I get to come in here every day because nothing works right all the time. And that's true of anything in life. And the second that a company gets one thing that does work, there's another problem arising. So it's just a fact of life. So we're looking for, and you're hoping to be, a person who is looking for solutions as opposed to dwelling on the problem. And with your goals that you're setting for your life, with the things you want to accomplish, there's many times you can let all those problems get overwhelming and just focus in on the problem. You've got to be looking beyond it and go, okay, yes, this is a problem. What can I or we or what can be done about it? Okay? So another part of the process is remembering some of those principles. Step 4 is a plan of action. You can have all these goals written down, but if you don't have a plan of action, it doesn't matter. So did I talk about the get my insurance license thing? Is that what I said? Did I talk about that example? Okay. So in the example of get my insurance license is this. I got to have actions that are going to take place. Purchase my study book. Complete the study book. Submit the exam request and fingerprints. Take the Leonard's class. Schedule the exam. Study and review. Take the exam. Celebrate, hopefully. Advise management. Seek new opportunities. You might have to rework something in there if that doesn't work out. Right? But you've got to have an action plan if this goal is going to take place. Get my insurance license on its own doesn't do anything. There has to be action behind it. Get my insurance license looks like me writing down and going step 1, step 2, step 3, and thinking that through and working that out and having that list available to me to know that, okay, that's done. All right, now I got to get to this. Now that's done. Working it out with not just something simple like get my insurance license, but with take my family to Disney World. If it's a goal, you put it down. You go, what needs to happen? I got to save money. All right. To save money, I need to save, for Disney World these days, I need to save about $10 million a month. All right, whatever the case may be. I need to save $100 a month, and if I do it this way, then it can happen then. It's setting the action plan in place so that the goal can happen, so that you can reach it. But without an action plan, it's just another thing that's just sitting there, just like sitting in your mind. So you've got to have the action plan for the goals that you set for yourself. And lastly, we've got to measure. For our actions, we have to have measurements in place. Now, Brian Tracy argues that you've got to go back to your list on a daily basis. No matter how big your goal list, you've got to be visiting it on a regular basis. A daily basis is what he argues. So that, again, it's what you're thinking about, because what you're thinking about is basically what you are. And what you value is what you value and where you're spending your time. So he's asking us to go back to this on a regular basis and measure it on a daily basis. So not only do I have my action list that I put up, but on my action list, I have measurements as well, when it's going to happen. So if step 1 is order the resource book for my exam, and I was supposed to do that on 3/1/11, today is 3/2/11, and I didn't do it, well, then the first thing I want to do this morning is make sure I go back and get that done, because I'm behind schedule now of what I expected of myself. And this changes. Hey, don't be, if you're setting goals for yourself and you're putting action items down, don't kill yourself over these things. When you look and you haven't made it, you continue moving on going, okay, but what do I need to do next? And so then you get the book ordered because the first thing you did was sit down this morning and go on the internet and order it, and now you know it's coming. Right? So now you get to mark that off and move on to the next item. But you're moving down the path to the things that you value most and the things that you want to accomplish and the things you want to get done. So it's got to be visited on a regular basis. It's got to be measured. You've got to be measuring yourself. And measuring yourself is a difficult task because you have to deal with the realities of yourself. And we've all got things that we've got to work on within ourselves. But he says go back to it on a daily basis. Think about these things consistently. If you are trying to work on your relationship with your child, the only thing that works on that relationship is by spending time with them. So you have to determine how that is going to take place and how you're going to spend that time. You have to line it up. You have to set it out, whether it be in the future or close, whether it be a weekly event, a monthly event, an annual event, or something that you would like to do with them over time. I mean, I love the stories when I hear about, mothers and daughters or sons and fathers or vice versa who have some dream event thing they want to do together. I mean, it could be something simple as go run a marathon together, or it could be something as simple as, go hike the Great Wall of China or something like that. And one of them might be easy to do in a year, and the other one might take 10 years to accomplish. But you set those visions down, and then it only becomes a goal that you have and something you want to do with somebody. It's something you can bring somebody in on, and they can do with you. I mean, I like to climb mountains. I took my son last summer, and we kind of did up a 13er, which is, pretty tough for a 10-year-old kid. And as we did that, he said, I like that. I'd like to do it again. I said, would you like to climb a 14er? Yeah. I said, well, let's set the goal for that, and let's shoot for that for next summer. August will be the best month to do that, and, that'll give me time to save up for a trip and time to make the plans, and then, we'll try and climb, Mount Elbert, which I think would be one that you can do. It's a 14,000. You have your first 14,000-foot mountain knocked off, and we can do it together. And so guess what we talk about on a regular occasion that I don't even have to bring up? What other mountains could we climb, Dad? How many are there? Do you think that we could do all of them together? That is just the basics of goal setting, just something simple like that, of wanting to spend time with someone and setting that as a goal, and then watching the fruit just get born out of that because you're taking the action items that are necessary to take place, and then what that builds. It's like with us now, we're at stages in our lives where we know what we value most and we know what we desire most. And as kids, we didn't know those things. I mean, we had some visions sometimes of what we wanted to be or what we wanted to do. I mean, I wanted to be a weatherman. I got older and I realized, I don't want to be a weatherman. I'm Dan Henry, and here's what's happening on Channel 4 News today. I don't really want that. But as a kid, I didn't know that. I was sampling things. And so with kids, we get to kind of introduce them to a variety of things, and they get to find out what those things are. And then they get to ask themselves the hard questions that we're asking ourselves now. What do I most desire? What do I most value? What's important to me? And get those things written down so we can take those actions. And as the confusion happened with my young friend reading this book about, well, this book's about making money. If making money is a goal you have, there are things that have to take place in order for that to happen in your life. But with anything that you want to have happen in your life, whether it be an improved relationship, to give back, to have particular experiences, those all have to be something you set down as a goal and something that you return to on a regular basis and consider if those things are going to happen. Because some things happen by chance, and good fortune happens to all of us, but not generally on the things that we value most unless we're spending time in those things. The relationships that we come into contact with because we're spending time in those particular areas cause other things to happen, but we're spending time in the area that we value most. Whether it be faith or career or whatever the case may be, that where you dwell and you're spending your time or where more opportunities open up because it's the thing you're focusing in on and people know you care about. So I encourage you to read the book. I gave you 5 things out of the book as steps. Tracy gives you 20 plus. I picked out what I thought were the most 5 important things to do to get down the process. So challenge yourself, take your pen out, shut the door, tell your kids to give you 5 minutes, or after they go to bed, turn the cotton candy for the brain, the TV off for just a little bit. It'll be there, TiVoed when you want to come back to it, and spend some time thinking about these things for your life. I think you'll just find it a fantastic resource when you look back 2 years from now with the things that you wrote down and the action items you take, because now you don't have the story, but 2 years from now, you might have a great story. I hope you have one. Thanks for coming in today. I appreciate you guys taking personal time out for this.